Now available as paperback and e-reader from the author of Spinsterella, A Strange and Unusual Romance, and Spellbound, A Darker Shade of Black comes from legendary magazine. And you get the conclusion of the Spinsterella trilogy in paperback and e-readers at online booksellers today. I got a chance to take a look at Marvel Studios' Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer at the library yesterday, and for the first time regarding a Marvel Studios movie, I was actually disappointed. For the first time, I started to see a Marvel Studios movie that did not have any of the heart or any of the soul of a Marvel comic, and I started to see a movie that didn't have any of the energy of the old Marvel Studios movies like Iron Man, The Avengers, and Captain America, the First Avenger. When I took a look at Ant-Man and the Wasp, I saw a generic superhero movie with characters that could be cardboard cutouts. I saw no personality, I saw no passion, I saw no energy. The whole film's trailer looked extremely uninspired and very unimaginative. Moreover, it looked like a film that seems to be completely disjointed in the trailer. Ant-Man and the Wasp doesn't know if it wants to be an action movie or if it wants to be a comedy. When I took a look at this trailer, it was reminding me a lot of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, the old 1990s Disney movie, not a Marvel Studios action movie. And I started to see some serious problems as related to these Marvel Studios movies with Ant-Man and the Wasp. In addition to being completely disjointed and directionless, it's looking like a lot of the actors are phoning it in. I don't feel that spark or that energy that I saw in the earlier Marvel Studios movies. With this film, I felt a sense of complacency as related to many of the performers and much of the whole production. It just feels so bland and generic that it just doesn't have any sort of energy swirling around it to make you get excited for it. And that's why I was so deeply disappointed for it, because we've gone from Marvel Studios movies making you excited for them, like they did with the original Iron Man trailers, the Captain America, the First Avenger, the Avengers, and many of the other Marvel Studios movies, to getting apathetic like I was for Black Panther and Avengers Infinity War, to the point where I'm now starting to get disappointed because the quality of Marvel Studios films has declined so much that they're now starting to remind me of these Zack Snyder movies that Warner Brothers produced on the DC side, like Batman v Superman and Justice League. And that's a real serious drop in quality, and it's really sad to see Marvel Studios films drop in terms of quality, because they were so imaginative and innovative almost 10 years ago, but now everything is starting to feel formulaic and generic. And that's the big problem with Ant-Man and the Wasp. It feels like a formulaic, generic superhero movie that any studio would make back in the 1990s, and it doesn't feel like anything special. The earlier Marvel Studios films, they felt special. They felt like comic books come to life. But the more recent films, like your Spider-Man Homecomings, like your other films like Thor Ragnarok, they're not really feeling that way. I mean, Thor had some great visuals and had some great design, but it just didn't come together story-wise, and it leads to most people feeling indifferent about the experience. But with this film, it just feels disappointing, because most of the film is just trailer is mostly the heroes bantering back and forth, but we're not seeing any real development of the villain or any real reason to go see the story, because when it comes down to stories, characters like bad guys drive the conflict, and I don't see that much of a conflict as related to the story. I look at this trailer and it's just not giving me a reason to go out here and drop $15 at the Magic Johnson Theater to go see it, and it's not really giving me a reason to go out here and head on down to the theater to go see this movie. I just don't see any reason to go see it outside of it featuring Marvel characters, and I'm sorry, but that's just not enough. The story in this trailer is just not compelling to me, and this is starting to become a really serious problem as related to these Marvel Studios movies, is that they're not focusing on key elements that make these films interesting. They're just focusing on, oh, it's just this hero character, but the story needs a lot more. You need a compelling villain, and you need a compelling story. And I'm not seeing that. All I'm seeing is that these heroes are bantering back and forth with people, and they're trying to be funny, but they're not giving me a serious story with a lot of action and adventure. I'm just seeing stuff that's just, it just feels generic, it feels bland, and with this film, I'm starting to see a real serious decline in quality. I mean, it's just like when I was watching Netflix's series, when I would watch Luke Cage, which was high bar, and Daredevil, which was high bar, and then we get to Jessica Jones, which was mediocre, and then Iron Fist, which was the low point for it, and the Defenders, which was rock bottom. And when I look at this Ant-Man and the Wasp, it's really reminding me of Iron Fist, because Iron Fist was one of those series that could have had the potential to be something great, but because they did not know how to execute on concept, it fell apart. But when I look at Ant-Man and the Wasp, that's what I'm seeing right here. You had a great idea for a concept, but you weren't really able to execute on it because you just didn't know how to tell a compelling story, and you just didn't have the bad guy there to be the villain that would get people to see what's great about this movie. The movie's primarily is, again, really, it has no real focus for it. It's just superheroes on screen in a generic movie, but there's no spark there to get you excited, no spark there to get you compelled to watch this movie, and no real spark there to get you to say to yourself, this is a movie I have to see. That for the first time, this is one of those movies I can honestly say that I could pretty much pass on and feel like I wouldn't be missing anything as related to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And if you keep making movies like this, what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to get butts in the seats for the second part of Infinity War, because I look at this movie and I look at the upcoming Captain Marvel, and both of those movies look like they're going to be the jump the shark point for the Marvel Studios brand. I've said that Marvel Studios is in trouble, and this film shows me how much trouble Marvel Studios is truly in. Because this flat, uninspired, boring looking trailer, if this are the best parts of Ant-Man and the Wasp, then the Ant-Man and the Wasp movie might possibly be the first flop from Marvel Studios. If you'd like to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon by clicking the link in the description box. And if you want to try some of my SJS Direct Fantasy titles like the ISIS series or the E-Steam series, you may do so by clicking the link to Amazon.com. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.